We've really got the build out of what is the distribution platforms, and I think we'll be making a number of announcements in the next week or two on those. And then you've really got the genuine go to market where people are actually tokenizing assets that are not manufactured financial assets, tokenizing the deposit book and things like that, which are really just financial plays.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Valerium CEO Gary Cottle. Gary, very good to speak with you. You've just completed the transaction that will add $200 million to your balance sheet, and you've laid out four big focus areas. Which one do you expect to generate revenues first and why?
Oh gosh, that's a tricky question. Morning, Stephen. We have a very healthy, let me try and answer those without saying too much. We do have a very healthy pipeline of transactions over the coming month or two. Some of them we'll be announcing, I think, in the next week or two. So some of them are imminent, and they're both Valerium Markets-led transactions. So they're deals that have been in the pipeline for a few months that are now dropping out at the end of the pipeline. So that's good. We have a number of opportunities that we've been discussing with QGP probably for the last month or two. So these are deals that we are, I would say, in the middle of negotiations with, where we've agreed commercial terms, but yet to be mandated, and yet to be in a position that we're able to announce them. Some of them are, I think, as we said, right, some of them are fairly material. I think there's probably, to answer that question without saying too much outside of the forward guidance rules that we're always hemmed in on. There's some announcements out that we'll be making this week, and they will be transactions that we will be taking to market. We've just had two approvals from the regulator in El Salvador, so we'll announce both those trades. We are also trying to close two trades which are material, which I would like to think we can agree commercial terms in the next week or two. All in the board, as I say, we're trying to stay quite wide but quite narrow. Narrow in terms of we're really trying to become a payments infrastructure. We took a stake in Fidium. We'll be looking to expand that business area into what we see as a neobank, banking as a service. They take longer. The revenues don't appear as quick. They look more like investments than they do transactions. We probably, of the original 200 million and the extra billion that we'd always been speaking to QGP about, we have a number of transactions on the table that make use of both of those amounts of money. So we would expect to be busy over the next couple of months. There's no guarantee you can get into commercials and not agree commercials, but it's very, very much the intent. And I think, as we said, and people can do their own homework on, the QG people have a very specific area of expertise and experience, and we are looking to make use of their expertise for a couple of those investments.
As you said, you're trying to connect tokenization with banking as a service. What problem does that actually solve for institutions right now, Gary?
Well, there's a couple of key areas. So we're still very early in the go-to market of tokenization for real world assets. There, as you'll have seen, there are some great companies that we speak to, people like Chintai, who've just recently announced massive transactions like the 28 billion partnership with Sun 7 Stars. So I think we're starting, and we're seeing it as well. We're seeing the fruition of where we're seeing this with DigiShares, which have had a fantastic quarter. Actually, deals now starting to get done, which would previously have been traditional finance. So these are now DeFi tokenizations of the easier real world assets. So they are, real estate's incredibly easy. Natural and critical mineral resources are also pretty standard, very well established in TradFi with NI 43101s. So a lot of those we are talking to QGP, which we think is incredibly replicable, if that's a word, to basically have a repo structure for tokenization. So some of the things I think are just a straight extension of some of the things I used to do. So doing repos of baskets of assets that fits right into tokenization. And I think we'll see more the trades that, I think, if you look at all the big the tokenization platforms, for us it's DigiShares, obviously we speak a lot with Chintai, and they're not a competitor, but they're a frenemy as if they're thing. I think we're starting to see, you saw NYSE today announce that they're going to build a tokenization platform. We've almost got two things going on. We've really got the build out of what is the distribution platforms, and I think we'll be making a number of announcements in the next week or two on those. And then you've really got the genuine go-to-market where people are actually tokenizing assets that are not manufactured financial assets, tokenizing the deposit book and things like that, which are really just financial plays. So we think this year will be an exciting year, not just for us, but for the other people in the space, who've been building up their platforms and their expertise. And they now need to do two things, right? They use structuring and arranging deals is one thing, which is what we do. And that's what we put Valeria Markets together for, as did the other companies. But linking together when you can bring deals to market and distribute them, because you've got to have both ends of the pipe.
Gary, it sounds like an exciting period for the company. I hope you'll continue to keep us updated with your progress.
We will do. Thanks again for having me on, Stephen. Have a good day.
Gary Cottle, the CEO of Valerium.